What's up, everyone? I'm Joel, that's Steve, and Appa Cash is currently in the background somewhere, I think chomping on a water bottle. But this is Avatar, the Better Than Never Bender, episode 3. Today we will be currently watching episodes 7, 8, and 9. We started out very high in this series. Steve gave the first 3 episodes a 9.9 and the second 3 episodes a 10. How are we feeling walking into 7, 8, and 9? Are we going up? I don't think we can go any higher.
I don't know if we can get any higher. The last episode we did, I had my favorite episode so far, episode 5, King of Omashu. Right now I'm at an all-time high. So going into this, I hope it meets my expectations. I also know that I kind of have to maybe rework my scores because I did not leave any room for growth. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. I'm looking forward to watching these next 3 for a while now, and I'm ready to get back into it.
But before we go in, let's rework that right now. Let's say the first 3 episodes, we started at 9.9, but now in retrospect, watching 6 episodes, where are you falling?
So for those first 3, right, I want to give those a solid 8.
8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for episodes 4, 5, and 6, I want to give them like a 9.
That's a decent little jump, 8 to 9.
Yeah.
More than 0.01 before.
Right, yeah. It's a big jump, but also gives me a little more room to play around with. There could be some episodes coming up that are also going to be 9.9 worthy. That might be better than my previous 9.9.
And we also have some 10s in there that are going to probably have some room.
Exactly, so I kind of had to leave a little bit of space for some discrepancies, so... We'll see what these hold up.
This episode, we're going to be starting with episode 7, the first of a 2-part episode. Our first 2-parter since the first 2 episodes.
That's right, yeah.
How do you feel walking into this 2-parter?
Ooh, excited. My immediate reaction was excited because we've seen little half-hour bits, like the Warriors of Kyoshi, King of Omashu, and then in prison, which also just what a banger of a 3-episode stretch, by the way. That was so good.
We've had a couple 3-episode stretches, which were pretty good. We won't go any further than this. We will go right into it. Starting with episode 7. Book 1, Water, the Spirit World, Winter Solstice Part 1. And that was episode 7. It was our first venture into the spirit world.
It's a weird one, too. It also starts out on a pretty heavy, dark note where they get to this forest and it's all burned down. The first thing they say is,
Fire Nation! Those evil savages make me sick. They have no respect for...
There is no end to their fucking chaos.
No, they are truthfully a reign of terror.
Kind of rough to see. It was kind of rough intro into this episode.
You see that Aang, he has this overwhelming guilt.
How could I let this happen? Aang, you didn't let this happen. It has nothing to do with you. Yes, it does. It's the Avatar's job to protect nature. But I don't know how to do my job.
It symbolizes his lack of being there for the world.
He wasn't there to protect the world.
Yeah,
I get that.
And Katara immediately starts picking up acorns and starts chucking them at Aang. And they're all confused as to why, but she's trying to show him, like, look, acorns are around. Acorns, they will be planted into the ground, and then we will have a new forest in time. It just takes time.
If you plant these, it will grow back.
Yeah. If you build it, they will come. And from there, we have this gentleman that walks into the forest because he happens to see the bison flying over top, and he wants to make sure to see if that is the Avatar.
Yeah, and right away he's like, "It's you, you're the Avatar. Like, you need to help us."
My village.
And right away Aang's just kind of like confused. He's like, "Well, I don't know much about being an Avatar. Like, you kind of forget. Like, he was so young when he was frozen. So like, he doesn't know what it really means to be an Avatar, and like all the responsibilities that kind of fell on his shoulders when he was gone. So this is his first kind of foray into like being an Avatar and having these duties you need to fulfill.
Like you said, it's crazy because Aang, we have to remember sometimes that he's 12.
Yeah.
And you have this gentleman who he's never met before. Instead of like this gracious intro, it's like, oh my god, I'm so happy to meet the Avatar. It's, I need your help. Like, drop what you're doing, come help my town.
You're the Avatar, you have to help us.
And that's a lot of stress on a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's stress on anybody. So as the Avatar, they kind of leave him to confront Spirit of the Forest.
Yeah, the Heibai.
You must be the Heibai spirit. My name is...
He has no idea what to do, as in, I can't imagine anybody would know what to do if you weren't the Avatar, you know? And then in doing so, like, Sokka gets taken by the Spirit of the Forest, Aang goes after him, and Aang ends up in the spirit world, and comes up against the coolest animal guide we've seen so far. The dragon is so fucking cool.
Dragon's cool. Roku's dragon is animal guide is definitely cool with the dragon, but do not slander Appa.
No, nothing against Appa, but dragon's a little cooler, especially since you know that Roku was a I guess from the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits it a little appropriate, you know what I mean? I'm sure Appa also fits with like the whole airbending thing, but man, dragons.
There's no reason the bison should be attached to airbenders, but like, what are you gonna do? You would think it'd be a bird of some kind, but
yeah, you're right.
the bison's, it's definitely cooler than a bird, at least.
He goes with them to the Crescent Island in the Fire Nation, and because obviously their spirit, they're able to go right into Roku's final chamber, I guess you would, where his resting place, his tomb, and they tell him like during the winter solstice, that is your opportunity. Talk to Roku to gain some insight on being the Avatar. He was the last one, and Aang has nobody else to learn from. He's at the point where he has to learn from Ghost.
After speaking with, Roku's statue, not even really Roku, he then comes back to the area, gets a hold of his body, and comes back to the town. I don't really think he still has a plan to speak to the Heibai.
No.
But I think he's a little bit more comfortable for some reason.
Yeah.
He eventually shows the Heibai the acorns that he saw from the beginning.
And the spirit of the forest like calms down, I guess, and reverts back to its normal state, which is giant panda bear. Fitting to be the spirit of the forest. Yes. That makes sense. But it was kind of a happy ending, and that was obviously resolved. The town is happy.
And as this Heibai walks out of the town, you have all the sprouts of bamboo that come out, and everyone in the town that was taken by this Heibai spirit now proceeds to leave the spirit world and come back. Yeah. At which point, Aang lets the gang know, basically, like, we have to go to the Fire Nation.
Go literally behind enemy lines. To gain some insight to make him a better Avatar. So
at least now we know where we're going to end up going in the next episode.
Yeah.
But prior to us going there, the B side of this episode is also very interesting, where we have Zuko, a very nice situation between Zuko and General Iroh.
Yes. Yeah, General Iroh's in the bathtub, relaxing, telling Zuko, don't take it easy.
In hot springs, he's created himself, which is super weird.
That's awesome. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
and then I think he falls asleep in the hot tub. And the Earth Nation soldiers come. Again, using the Earthbending. So good. I love Earthbending. They recognize him. They know he's General Iroh, like an old war general.
And not only do they call him General Iroh, they know him as Ozai's brother.
Yeah, so they know exactly who he is. And they also mention Ba Sing Se, which I've heard that phrase before. I've heard that name before. And I think this is the first time we hear it in the show.
Yeah.
So to finally hear that, I'm like, okay, like, they're kind of hyping up a little bit. I think it was a great battle of Ba Sing Se, and kind of curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, they mentioned in the show that General Iroh laid siege to Ba Sing Se for 600 days.
Oh.
And failed to conquer Ba Sing Se. That's how great of a place Ba Sing Se is.
Yeah, so then they know him, they capture him, and then he kind of lets himself be taken. And after a while, he does kind of like, he's like, all right, let me play around with him a little bit, let him capture me. But he's General Iroh. He can get himself out of that. Like there's a lot more than meets the eye there. He is like an old war general. Like he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And so he gets captured. He tries to break free. One really funny scene where he's rolling down the mountain like naked in chains. Like it's just really funny. Try to break out. Then they use the awesome, incredible, superb earthbending to get him.
Do you want to give it any more adjectives?
I love earthbending. It's so fun to see. And then they capture him. That would break his hands, which also again dark.
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
They literally like held a giant stone over his arms, and they're like, destroy his hands, smash his hands to smithereens.
Yeah, typical like tropes though, where they're like, instead of just doing the action, they're like, we must break his hands, and everyone's like waiting now. He's like,
very slowly break his hands. Yeah, and then it's also crazy too, because like, okay, they're gonna break his hands, but we've also seen them use like the firebending out of their feet, out of their mouth, able to spit fire. It's like you break his hands, he can still use firebending. Yeah. So don't know how much good that would have done, but then Zuko comes in, kind of saves the day, kicks over this giant boulder that's been hanging over his hands for 20 hours, and it's also like a lot of insight too. Like Zuko is obviously going to kind of drop everything to save Uncle Iroh. And Iroh means that much to him, like no matter what the situation is, he's got to come save him.
And we have this one moment to speak on that where he clearly sees Appa flying overhead, and he has a moment where he has to decide to pick between going after Aang or going after General Iroh, and he picks the right decision, in my opinion, to go after his uncle.
I think so, because I think without his uncle, he'd be lost.
Yeah, lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
but to end this episode, we had a great fight here. We have a fight between both General Iroh, Zuko, and the soldiers.
Yeah.
And the soldiers let them know, basically, you guys are outnumbered. Yeah. And General Iroh lets them know.
That's true, but you are clearly outmatched.
What a badass.
Bro. And it's crazy because he's such a fun, lovable character,
He
and then
is.
you see flashes of, oh, you be murdering people.
Oh, no, I'm saying that's what I mentioned before. Like he is a war general. Like don't let him fool you. Like he might be like a little humby, goofy little old man, but like, no, he will beat your ass.
Yeah. And, you know, he uses the chains that he's in to catch some of the rocks and throws them back and forth. They use a lot of firebending here in very cool ways to overcome these soldiers, and then now they're both free again. A very good episode.
Yeah, very good. Very good. It definitely sets up the second part of this two-parter with Aang and a team Avatar going to find this Crescent Island and trying to talk to Avatar Roku.
At least now we know where we're going.
Yeah.
And that was episode 7.
Yeah.
Let's go on to our way with episode 8. Start it up, Steve. Book 1, Water, Avatar Roku, Winter Solstice Part 2. And that was episode 8. We end up starting out the episode with Aang about to ditch them to go to the Fire Nation by himself.
Yeah, he was ready to just leave. He thought to himself, well, I'm not going to put them at risk anymore. Mm-hmm. And then turns out everybody was awake and ready and waiting for him.
The whole town was awake.
The whole town was like, you ain't going nowhere, boy.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we end up seeing just how close they've gotten in this short period of time.
Yeah.
You know, they are like a little family. Aang is very adamant. He's like, I want to go by myself. I'm not going to put you guys in danger. I can handle this. And they put up a stink and almost saying in the beginning, like, you're not going to go without us.
Yeah. They already decided, like, early on, like, this is a journey they're taking together.
Yeah.
No matter what. And even then, they're willing to put their lives on the line, literally, like, to help him become a better Avatar, to help kind of put an end to the war, which is, like, the ultimate goal, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, immediately, they're just like, we're going to go. Like, relax, we got it.
Yeah. Calma. They eventually, you know, hop on Appa. They head that direction. And we have a very cool moment in the show where, you know, the Appa's flying over and we are approaching this blockade now.
Yeah.
We have Zhao in front of them with this blockade, Aang approaching the blockade, and Zuko and his men behind him.
Yeah.
So we have this weird, tense moment where Aang is flying towards the blockade, and the soldiers tell Zhao, "Hey, we see the Avatar and the Bison, but we have a fire ship behind them."
Yeah. And before that, they're approaching the blockade because Zuko and General Iroh, Uncle Iroh, are approaching the blockade, and Iroh's telling them, "Is like, you can't step foot in the Fire Nation. Like, you were banished. Like, for you, it is on sight, my boy. Like, you can't do this." Mm-hmm. And Zuko, just being Zuko, is like, full speed ahead.
I don't care. Yeah. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And Zhao, at that point, he's basically telling the soldiers, you know, I don't care who's behind them because in that ship is a traitor.
Yeah.
He's willing to kill the Fire Lord's son in order to get to the Avatar.
Yeah, he's also trying to, I guess, to also appease the Fire Nation Lord. Like, he's also trying to get everybody's good graces. Zhao kind of seems to me like a little bit of like a
brown noser.
Yeah, like a suck. Yeah, like I would say a suck up. Yeah, like exactly. So for him, he's just like, sweet. I get the Avatar and I get to kill Zuko.
Yeah, which I don't know about you. I don't care if my son is banished. If you kill my son, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what he expected to get out of that. I really don't.
But he goes forward with it anyway. Yeah. He starts to let off all the fireballs going towards Aang, and we have a very cool moment where Aang and the gang basically are flying through all these fireballs, whether it's at the bottom near the water or through the clouds. It's insane, the cinematography they have of him going through it all.
He's like almost skimming the water, dodging the fireballs and everything, and then the fireball coming at Appa, like, with everybody on top of Appa, and he jumps up and lets out this kick, and it's like a solid like stream of air strong enough to go through this fireball, and it breaks up. It's like a billion pieces. Again, like little glimpses like that every now and then, where I'm like, oh, like he got this down locked. Like he is the Avatar. Like little glimpses of power coming out, where I'm like, you can't underestimate him for a second.
Like even if he is 12, he is a fully realized airbending master.
Yeah, and it's little things like that make you kind of remember, like, we're not dealing with anybody here. Like he already has airbending.
Yeah, to a T.
Yeah.
Aang ends up flying over the blockade, and Zuko has this conversation with Iroh. Iroh's telling him, we're going to hit the blockade. And Zuko's like, we can make it. Proceeds to push through even further. And Zhao has the wherewithal to be like, listen, cut the ships, cut the engines. Let's just follow him to see where he goes.
Let him through, follow him.
Even though in the episode, ships don't work that way.
They don't stop that fast. Though.
Yeah, he said stop the engines. The ships were like...
They don't have brakes. Like, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
But either way, Zuko goes through, Aang goes through, and Aang continues to fly towards, the Crescent Island.
Yeah.
Which they inevitably get to. Mm-hmm. Once they get to the island, they land. Aang goes inside the temple, and they bump into 5 fire sages.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be protecting this island for the Avatar.
Yes. Didn't quite work out that way. They were like, finally the Avatar's here. Again, also on site. And then, that's commercial, so immediately you're just like, what's going on here? I thought help, blah, blah, blah. And then, they contain orders like, if you see the Avatar, don't let him in. Like, he'll just get stronger. Like, don't let the Avatar get close to Roku or Roku's his tomb, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And then, they're getting chased by them. And then one of the sages, like, stops. Is like, no, we want to help you. Like, his grandfather, like, always wanted to help the Avatar. He knew eventually one day this day would come. He was going to have to betray the other fire sages. And he did.
And he was cool with it. He didn't care.
Brought him through, like, these hidden passageways all the way up through the final resting place in Ruka.
So we get all the way up the stairs. Yeah. We get to the front doors where Roku's temple would be, and the doors are locked. And we have a very interesting moment with Sokka, who, we continue to say this over and over in the last couple episodes. His ingenuity, his cunning, and even though his plan didn't work to light these 5 little sacks that he had and basically blow the door open. It led to the way that we get in. Yeah, we mentioned this again a couple times as well. Like, he's resourceful, he's crafty. He's like, oh, I have an idea, and this worked. And like, by all like logic, that should have worked. It just didn't, for whatever reason, whatever plot armor you want to say. But like, logically, like, I saw him pull out these like 5 homemade bombs. I'm like, well, this has worked. This should work. And granted, it didn't. They still found a way in, but. Even then, little moments like that where I'm like, Sokka, he's in his bag, man. Yeah, it shows. Even though he's not a bender, you start to see his ability to strategize and come up with ideas on the fly to try to help them out. Yeah. Because of his idea, they end up getting all this soot and stuff on the door, and when the other fire sages come, the fire sages currently there convinces them that he got in. Yeah, like, oh, look, all the burn marks. I don't know how they did it, but they got in. Look at all the burn marks. And the main one says, open the doors. The 5 of them open the door, and you think it's going to be an easy shot in, and we come to find out that Zuko is there, and it already has captured Aang for like the 15th time in this show. I was gonna say, every time they meet, like, there's some sort of capturing happening, but it never lasts long. And then you got this really funny scene where Aang like breaks free and then kicks Zuko down the stairs. It's very fast and very quick, like boop, and he just like goes tumbling. He just goes rolling down these steps. We go from one episode with his uncle rolling down the hill to another episode him rolling down the steps. I can't stop rolling. But Aang gets through, jumps through the doors shut immediately. Yeah. And then you see like basically the flash come over the doors, and the fire sages attempt to reopen the door, and they say right in the episode, Roku does not want us to come in. Roku locked the doors from the inside. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. Yeah. Even as a spirit, he knew what he was doing. And once he opens those doors, you start to see that moment where Aang is still a kid. They keep giving you flashes of Aang being a child. He has like a temper tantrum.
I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is airbending. Please, Avatar Roku, talk to me. It was literally just a little bit of patience. Mm-hmm. That's all he needed. He just needed for like literally needed to wait like 10 seconds. We saw the sunlight kind of like go up towards the statue of Roku, and he goes up to his eyes, and eventually he comes out. It goes back to like you said, just a little bit of patience. But he's a kid; he doesn't have patience. Yeah. You know, he's like, "Why isn't this working? It should work immediately." Yeah. And Roku comes out, and he tells him, "Oh, I sent my animal guide to bring you here."
So even that, like last episode when we saw the amazing, incredible dragon come in.
So now we've learned Steve loves dragons and earthbending.
Yeah.
Got it.
All he needs a rock dragon.
Onyx comes.
So even then, Roku was like kind of setting us up, like helping Aang kind of find his way here. You know?
They have the conversation. He basically lets him know that
100 years ago, Fire Lord Sozin used that comet to begin the war. He and his firebending army harnessed its incredible power and dealt a deadly first strike against the other nations.
So the comet made them stronger?
Yes, stronger than you could even imagine.
But that happened 100 years ago. What does the comet have to do with the war now?
Listen carefully. Sozin's comet will return by the end of this summer, and Fire Lord Ozai will use its power to finish the war once and for all.
Are you
mind you,
kidding
we are
me?
in the winter solstice.
Are you so like? I turned to you when this happened. I was like, this whole show takes place over months, a span of months.
Yeah.
That's insane. So this winter solstice, let's say it goes by our calendar, so it's December. So end of summer, you'll say what? September, Labor Day. You know what I mean? So he has 9 months to figure out earth, fire, and waterbending completely.
Yeah.
What?
At 12.
At 12? What? Oh, okay. I did not know it takes place over such a short span of time. That's mind blowing. I don't know how he's gonna do it. Granted, I'm assuming he does, or I hope he does. But like knowing that really raises the stakes a lot.
And it's crazy because, like you said, this show takes over the span of a couple months. So we are in season 1 of a 3-season show.
Yeah.
And literally each season's about 3 months.
That's fast.
So imagine having 3 months to fully understand waterbending, 3 months to fully understand earthbending, 3 months to fully understand fire.
Yeah, well, we've seen him use a little bit of waterbending already. But
He's far from a master.
No, absolutely nothing from earth or fire.
And Roku says in the episode, this takes people years.
Yeah. You have 6 months. Good luck, man.
Good luck, everybody else.
That's correct.
But yeah, he lets them know the plan and kind of understands the assignment now. And Roku, with his last couple of words, basically says,
A great danger awaits you at the temple. I can help you face the threat, but only if you are ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah, Rook comes out. Yeah.
looking like Iron Man.
It's crazy. Yeah, that was cool.
And the fire blast he lets out, think about how hot that is. The fire blast he lets out burns through chains.
Yeah.
And splits the ground.
Yeah.
He raises magma from the basement
Are you kidding me?
through like 40 floors.
That also goes to show you how strong like a real avatar is.
A full-fledged avatar. Wow. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
A lot of plot in this one. But also, like, again, it's a cool setting, like the whole island thing, and more world building and everything that I always point out, and like great episode.
Now we understand the assignment.
Yeah.
He has to learn all the bend disciplines in literally a couple months.
9 months max.
God bless, kid.
That's good luck.
But yeah, that was episode 8, and now we're gonna shift our way onto episode 9.
Yeah.